This is the regular meeting of the Mobile City Council, Tuesday, June the 7th. Please stand for our invocation, led by Pastor Lonnie Lundy, Cottage Hill Baptist Church, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Lord, we thank you so much for allowing us to be here today. God, it is your word that tells us we are to pray for our leaders. That, Lord God, that you have placed them there according to your will, that they may serve you. And so, Lord, I lift them up. I lift each and every one of them up to you today. I pray for the men and the women here. Lord, I pray that you grant them wisdom beyond wisdom. As your word says, that we are to give intercession, prayer, thanksgiving for all people, for those who are in positions of high authority. And God, we pray that in every single way, that their lives reflect you in all that they do. In Jesus' name, amen. To the flag, to the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to ask everyone to please remain standing. Unfortunately, around this country, we're still experiencing a lot of mass shootings and deaths. We're just going to have a moment of silence for those people that had lost their lives and their families. Just a moment of silence, please.
Roll call, President Small.
Here.
Vice President Gregory.
Here.
Councilmember Penn.
Here.
Councilmember Carroll.
Here.
Councilmember Reynolds.
Here.
Councilmember Daves.
Here.
Councilmember Jones.
Here.
Statement of rules.
And good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's good to see everyone on this beautiful Tuesday morning. We welcome everyone to our June 7th meeting. At this meeting, we do have rules. At this time, I ask if anyone has any type of electronic device, I ask that you put on the off or the vibrator position. The off or the vibrator position. Any person desiring to address the council must sign in indicating the resolution, the ordinance, appeal, or public hearing agenda item before entering the meeting. When addressing the council, the speaker must state his or her name and address. Any person desiring to speak to the council on a non-agenda item must contact the city clerk office no later than 2:00 p.m. on the Thursday prior to the council meeting. The subject that he or she wishes to address must be identified and pertain to the city of Mobile business. Any person who has not given proper notice to the city clerk office and wishes to speak on a non-agenda item will not be allowed to address this council. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes to address the council. A bell will sound to indicate the end of 2 minutes. 1 minute remains for summarizing. The second bell indicates the time has expired. When addressing the council, there will be no personal address to any individual council member. All statements are to be made to the chair, who will recognize any council member who wishes to respond. To maintain decorum, there will be no undue applause and or public outcry allowed. Madam Clerk.
Approval of minutes from May 24th and May 31st.
So move.
Second.
And properly moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Communications from the mayor.
Good morning. It's good to see everybody here this morning. Appreciate you taking time out of your schedules to join us today. I have several announcements. The first has to do with a few items that are on the agenda. We'll be issuing, subject to the approval of the City Council, sporting light upgrades for the baseball fields at Matthews Park and at Figures Park. These will be similar to the upgrades that we've made at Mims Park, which have been very, very popular, and it will just extend the amount of time that we can use these facilities. And it's a continuation of us assessing all of our parks, trying to make improvements to help improve the quality of life for all of our citizens. later this week or during this week, we'll actually be making a video of another park, Lions Park, which isn't so much a sports park with the exception of the tennis courts. But we've spent a lot of energy and effort and money on improving those facilities at Lions Park, but also Crawford Murphy Park, which does have a lot of playground facilities at them. So again, it's all about improving the quality of life and giving you places to go to enjoy yourself. Tonight, our Parks and Rec team has put together a very exciting concert. And it's not too late to purchase your tickets to the Prince Tribute Band concert, which will be at Cooper Riverside Park from 6 to 9 p.m. There'll be food trucks, dancing, and more. The tickets are $50, and you can purchase them online by going to the City of Mobile website and visiting our Parks and Rec on social media. So, how many of y'all will we be seeing at the park tonight? You don't have to raise your hand. That's okay. But there's still some tickets available. All right. Anyway, we'll be prepared for you should you decide to show up. Okay. Also, last Friday, the Mobile Police Department held its 3rd annual Youth Summit, which was brought together leaders from various local agencies and more than 24 teenagers who are currently on probation at our youth court in Mobile County. The summit's goal was to hear from young people in our community who are most at risk of becoming victims of perpetrators of violent crimes. This is an ongoing process to where our police and others that are engaged in trying to protect our youth to find out why the decisions were made to follow the paths that they did. And it's always very meaningful to get that feedback as we try to make adjustments to protecting them and fellow citizens. Coming up, we've got community days. The Mobile Police Department Youth Prevention Summer Days are kicking off Thursday with the first community day this Thursday. Area residents are invited to the Baumhauer Randall Park at 1909 Duval Street from 3 to 6 p.m. There'll be youth mentoring and fun activities for the kids as well as free food. The community days are events also designed to strengthen the family structure. There'll be more than 20 agencies set up to serve those in need of employment, educational opportunities, health care, dental care, substance abuse treatment, and mental health services. There'll be 3 more of these events during the coming summer months in different neighborhoods, so please stay tuned for announcements in the future. This time I'd ask Councilman Gregory to join me at the podium. Well, this is a very, very special day and a very, very special person. This is Tielo Johnson. She goes by Lo. At the age of 1, Lo was determined to have cancer. She's 4 years old today. She is a cancer survivor. Today, survivors in that picture. Yeah, there we go. I don't need to be in that picture. Yeah. So, Lo, can you ring this bell for us? Okay.
She really is a very special young lady. I got a chance to meet her over the weekend when they were having a party for her to celebrate the fact that she had just finished her chemotherapy. So can you imagine going from 1 year old to 4 years old, having to go through those kinds of treatment? You know, as an adult, it's difficult enough. But this young lady made it through with flying colors, and now she's cancer-free. And we had a wonderful party for her over at Loretta Park on Sunday. And we need to introduce her family who is here with her. Moms, if y'all will stand up. Shannon and Catavia. These are Lo's moms. And she's got a very special, not blood relative, but certainly a relative, Big Mama Jen Hinton Irby. Stand up. Yeah. So she has a great group of folks who help take care of her, and she is the sweetest thing ever. Look at her jewelry. Isn't she precious with that? Do you want to say anything? She's quite a talker.
1 second, though. Lo, I have a book for you. And this book is called The Kid Who Changed the World. And we believe that you're going to change the world. Will you go out and help us do that and make it a better place to live? Can you do that? Yeah, I thought so. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to walk around and get a picture with all of these men, and they're all men. Oh, goodness. We're going to go. The one lady is over here with us, so we're going to walk around and get a picture. So, do you mind if I carry you? Or you do? Or will you walk? Okay. I can tell that. Okay, let's go. All right, let's go around. Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to. You. Okay. We're going to get a picture. All right. Come on around. All right. Okay. Thank you. Let's go give him the Big Mama, okay? All right. Let's see. That concludes my remarks.
Adoption of the agenda.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. Any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Agenda is adopted.
Public hearings today is the public hearing to rezone property located at the northwest corner of Cochran Causeway and Dunlap Drive from R1 and I-2 to I-2.
This open up the public hearing for the rezoning of the property at the corner of Cochran Causeway and Dunlap Drive. And anyone would like to address the council, you may do so by coming down to the podium and giving us your name and your address.
Paul Marcinko, Jade Consulting, 208 North Greeno Road, Fairhope, Alabama. We're the civil engineer for the project. I'm just here to answer any questions that anybody may have about this rezoning and this project.
Any questions from the council?
Yeah.
Mr. Carroll?
What's the intent of the rezoning? What's going there?
It is a card lock facility for Pilot Thomas, so it's not a truck stop. There's no convenience store there. They just sell fuel to trucks via a card system.
So will it be fuel storage tanks or just
The fuel storage tanks are on the adjacent site.
adjacent? So they already
Pump
exist.
into, correct.
And this is right underneath the bridge across from.
It is just north of the Bankhead Tunnel at Dunlap Drive. There's a vacant parcel there.
Any other questions from the council? Thank you so much. Is anyone else present to speak on this particular public hearing? If not, this public hearing is closed.
Public hearing to rezone property located at 1248 Mont Lamar Drive and 3500 Michael Boulevard from R1 and B3 to B3.
This opens up the public hearing for this particular sale of properties. And anyone present that would like to address the council, you may do so by coming down to the podium by giving us your name and your address. If not, this public hearing is closed.
Public hearing to declare the structure at 1354 O'Shell Road a public nuisance and order it demolished.
This opens up the public hearing of the said property. If anyone present that would like to address the council, you may come down by giving us your name and your address. If not, this public hearing is closed. And again, I ask if anyone has any type of electronic device, please put it on the off or the vibrate position, the off or the vibrate position. Madam Clerk.
Public hearing to consider approval of a certificate of public convenience and necessity to Carekeepers Health Care to operate a sedan service.
This opens up the public hearing for this particular said item. If anyone present that would like to address the council, you may do so by coming down to the podium by giving us your name and your address. If not, this particular public hearing is closed.
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Valerie Longa.
My name is Valerie Longa. I reside at 6621 Hounds Run South. Good morning, City Council. Good morning, Mayor Simpson. It's a pleasure to be here this morning to present for the Mobile Public Library. I serve as the Public Relations Officer, and I am here this morning to invite all of the community to get engaged with our summer library celebration. This year's theme is Oceans of Possibilities. And each week, we are going to have a free special performance. Up next week, we will be featuring 2 local musicians, Gabe Willis and Ryan Balthrop. We also have a reading challenge for all ages from 0 to 100 years old, so people can win fabulous prizes in participating with us. I wanted to highlight a couple of signature things that we are doing for our 120-year anniversary of service. We are going to have a special event for Juneteenth weekend, and that is going to be with author Ben Raines on his book, The Last Slave Ship. We also have some Clotilda descendants that will be in attendance for that panel Q&A, and we would love your help with getting the word out about the Summer Library Celebration and about that special event. We have ordered extra copies of that book so that the community has ample opportunity to read about our local history here. We also included in your packet a bookmark about the digital archives that are online that anyone can access at any time. And speaking of online research, we are bridging the gap and serving our most underserved when it comes to internet access. This summer, through a grant, we are able to provide Chromebooks and hotspots to check out for a 2-week time period. So a lot of our students, for example, they have to check their books back in, or actually their Chromebooks at the end of the summer. So all of our students will have a chance to check out Chromebooks through our libraries. We have 11 libraries throughout the county and a bookmobile. Is that 1 minute?
Yep.
All right. And for the other aspect, we are very excited to see our numbers increasing month to month throughout attendance at each and every one of our libraries. We are going to continue with special guests throughout the year to celebrate the 120-year anniversary. We are dedicated to increasing literacy and also connecting our community through signature events. We are going to be looking forward to the fall when we'll be featuring even more local authors. And thank you to all of you for helping us to get the word out about these different events. for attending yesterday's event honoring a Buffalo soldier with the country of France for a Legion of Honor, and also for our National Literary Landmark celebration that we had last month at the Ben May Main Library. So thank you for your continued support and for helping us to get the word out about what we have planned this summer.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Jones?
yeah, I just want to follow up with that. You know, this library is so essential to our community, to our kids, to our adults, and thank you. And yesterday, if you were there, our library was transformed into a Hall of Heroes. It should have been on the national news. Corporal Andry was presented the French Legion of Honor, which is their highest award in their nation, and it's signed off on by the president of France. And they presented that to Corporal Andry. He was a tanker in Patton's army in person. He was a member of the 761st Tank Battalion, was injured in battle from an artillery round. He is 97 years old and stood to receive that medal yesterday. But the library set all of this up, and in attendance were two other World War II veterans that have received significant medals as well. So yesterday was truly a time to honor those that have created the history that we read about and watch. And the library was fundamental in setting that up. So thank you for everything that y'all do.
Thank you so much.
Mr. President,
Ms. Gregory?
I just want to add on to what Councilman Jones just said. I was also there yesterday to see Corporal Andry receive his prestigious, extremely prestigious medal. And it was so wonderful to see him there, still walking. This man is a treasure in this city and to this country, to have learned the story of what he went through. And I've known the Andrys for some time, and have been able to see him receive some of these awards and learn more about his story. But to be there when he receives this medal from the French government, the country of France, you know, they came over here, made a special presentation to him. And thank you to you and to the library for setting this up and for hosting the Buffalo Soldiers and so many events that they do as well. So I agree with everything that Scott just said. Thank you. And just a very special thank you to Corporal Andry for everything that he did. And my thanks is certainly not enough. But he is a true gem, and thank you for all that you all have done. And I do wish, like Scott said, that we had more national attention for this, because it is quite a story.
I'd like to piggyback behind my colleagues. I had an opportunity to visit for a little while yesterday, too. And I'd like to thank you in the library also for helping to partner on yesterday. It was a great day on yesterday. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. It was quite an honor to be a part of that yesterday and help facilitate it. And thank you for your continued support.
Thank you.
Shalila Dowdy.
Good morning to the City Council, Mayor's team, Office of the City Clerk, and those in attendance at today's meeting. I am Shalila Dowdy, and I reside at 1008 Barber Drive, Mobile, Alabama 36617. Recently in the past week, I'm usually here to discuss redistricting and fair maps, but today I'm here to discuss supporting our youth who are also our future here in the City of Mobile. My focus today is on the Mobile Parks and Recreation Department Youth Track and Field Program. This weekend, the athletes competed in Birmingham, Alabama at the Huffman High School at the Amateur Athletic Union, or AAU, Southeastern District Qualifier. And like always, the athletes represented the City of Mobile very well. They are here today. If y'all would like to stand. Our athletes earned 41 gold medals, 29 silver medals, and 19 bronze medals. I last competed 14 years ago, and I can proudly say this team has consistently performed this well throughout the years. I will always and forever say that this is a program that forever changed my life as a youth athlete in the City of Mobile. The City Track and Field Program, or MPRD as we like to call it, has been a thriving program for more than 40 plus years. The program and its coaches have produced Olympians such as Eric Walder, who is also a world medalist and 10-time NCAA national champion. The program has produced numerous NCAA track and field All-Americans. It has helped many athletes, to include myself, with securing Division I athletic track and field scholarships to universities and colleges around the country. NPRD not only assists its athletes with enhancing their athletic ability, but the program instills discipline, helps develop, grow, and guide our young adults as they maneuver throughout life. This program was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, simply because many of the athletes come from low-income households where funding for extracurricular activities and higher education can sometimes be burdensome on the family. I'm here today to highlight the hard work of our athletes, to make our city aware of that hard work, and to make sure that they receive the support from the city that they need and deserve, monetarily and physically. We have athletes on the team who reside in all 7 districts, and it will be great if discretionary funds can be used from all 7 districts to support the athletes this season as they go compete in the regional qualifying meet in Knoxville, Tennessee, along with competing at the National Junior Olympic meet in Greensboro, North Carolina at North Carolina A&T. Currently, our city, along with other cities in our country, are going through another kind of pandemic that is centered around gun violence, specifically among our young people. Everyone wants to know how and why we got here and what we can do to solve this problem. One solution is to provide support to these marginalized communities, and we have to invest time and money into these kids and focus less on beautification projects and more on growing and developing the people, most importantly, our youth. Thank you for your time today and your consideration.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Carroll.
Captain Dowdy, what's the need? What is the financial need? I heard you say use of discretionary funds, but what is the financial need? Coach Hickman, where are you? I saw you earlier. What is the financial need? So you're saying that we're back to that age-old problem from 20 years ago, where we don't have enough money to transport the kids? So how are the kids getting from event to event? Captain Dowdy, when you ran, the Mobile Parks and Recreation paid for the buses, correct? That's when I was coaching. I need to know how much you need for the buses. I need to know that. If y'all can get that to me, then I'll find a way to at least. And that's for one trip, and that doesn't cover the national trip. All right. I think there's going to be, I wish Shonda was somewhere close, but I think there's going to be some type of insurance or liability issue there too.
Right. And we can get her to, she's not available right now, but the bottom line is as was described in the segment, it's really the transportation and the funding, the things that the city can't currently pay for this, for the individuals, for the athletes. So that's where the discretionary funds would come in to help augment that, so the parents aren't burdened with the cost of these competitions and travel that normally would be borne by the parents.
Why can't where did I know this may be the wrong time to talk about this, but where did the change in law come from that prevents the city from providing transportation for a city parks and recreation team that actually represents the city? It falls under the city.
Yeah, I don't think there has been a change. There's no change in the law. What we're talking about is using city funds to transport people. It's the parents that you are not able to transport. That is why Coach is talking about setting up the 501c3. If we were then able to give the money to them and they were paying for it, you wouldn't have those restrictions.
Right.
So we're not able to pay to transport non-employees and non-participants. Correct.
Is there a way to go back to that?
That's why you would set up the 501c3.
There wasn't a 501c3 when I ran. There wasn't a 501c3 when my son or Captain Dowdy ran. So what's the need now? It seems as if, though, this is a city team. It's a city team, and they're representing the city of Mobile. I mean, they're our club.
That it's fine for us to transport the students and the employees, but you wouldn't be able to transport the family, the parents, without some cost. But if you do it through a discretionary giving or through a 501c3, you're allowed. There's nothing wrong with us transporting our team or our employees, but because most of these young people aren't old enough to drive, because they have to have some parental supervision, those are the folks who you're not able to use city funds directly.
And it's at the hotel as well. So if mom and dad want to come down, they've got to pay hotel room for themselves. So that's the kind of stuff that would be discretionary funds to help offset those costs.
All right. I'm going to commit to the bus for this round, the $6,700.
I have a question, though.
But I hope that the rest of the council will be willing to contribute some small amount for the second bus to go to nationals, for the kids at least. So if you guys could chime in and let me know what we can and we can't do. And I don't even know what the balance is left on my discretionary account is. So some of that money might have to come out of pocket. But if we can find that out, and you guys could please provide some type of help to get them to the next trip.
I'll help cover that.
Hold on. Okay, Mr. Jones, Ms. Gregory, then Mr. Jones.
Yeah, I just have a question. If our discretionary funds can be used to go toward a 501c3, cannot then we do some sort of a performance contract for these 501c3s so that we don't have this discussion every year and so that it comes out of the city budget?
The answer to your question is yes, and that is why we suggested a couple of years ago that we have a 501c3 so that we could do that, because you all have to designate the funds for use as a public purpose. That's why every one of your discretionary funding issues or every performance contract goes through that process. It's just a matter of getting either a performance contract or 501c3 in place so we could do what we're talking about.
I think it would be easier possibly to just put it in the budget as a 501c3 performance contract in the budget so that we expect it as part of Parks and Recreation, so that they're not having to come to us every year for discretionary funds. And like William said, especially as the year winds down, we're out of money in our discretionary funds. But if we plan ahead, then the money is there when it's needed.
Mr. President.
Hold on, Mr. Reynolds. It's going to be Mr. Jones, Mr. Days, then you, Mr. Reynolds.
Yeah, look, I'll contribute. My concern right now, understanding how discretionary funds transit, if there's not already a 501c3 established, can we get that done in 3 weeks? I don't know. Plus, there's got to be insurance, liability insurance on that 501c3 that's established as well. So can we get there from here is the question. And I don't know if this is the right time and place, but it needs some quick action to figure out if this is even feasible at this point, if there's not a 501c3 established.
Mr. Days, then Mr. Reynolds.
I have a question for Mr. Woods. What's the difference between the money coming out of the general fund and discretionary accounts?
There isn't a very big difference if you have a 501c3. But the issue is, it's not, so there's no big difference. The issue is whether or not you have it budgeted, number one, and then two, you all making the designation that this is for use of a public purpose. With the discretionary fund, it's a lot easier, but if you're dealing with the general fund, as Ms. Gregory just correctly stated, if we have a 501c3 and a performance contract, same difference. You just have to have the entity to push it into to make the public designation.
Regardless of whether it's coming from the general fund or the discretionary fund.
Yes, correct.
So the statement that we cannot make a contribution towards this effort out of discretionary funds without having a 501c3 for it to go to is correct. Is that right?
So no, because there is something that you can do, and I think what Mr. Carroll is thinking is that he will, often you see, push those discretionary funds to the department. The problem is you still run into the issue of transporting the parents. That's the issue. But the solution is you designate it for a public purpose. There's a way to yes here. You just have to jump through so many hoops. It's a lot easier to do it for a 501c3.
Occasionally we have city teams of different kinds of city teams that are very successful and want to go to state competition and national competition. This happens about 2 or 3 times a year. And it'd be nice if we had a simple, easy way to make this happen. I'm comfortable using my discretionary funds towards it if that's something we have to do. But if there's some way we could figure it out so it wouldn't be so cumbersome, that would be helpful.
We'll get it figured out. I mean, there's a way to get to yes here.
Mr. Reynolds?
Simply just a point of order that we have a great worthy cause here that sounds like there's going to need a lot of discussion surrounding figuring out the best way the mechanics work out. And I was going to say if Mr. Carroll could speak with the team and maybe in a separate meeting and come up with some solutions and get back to us, I think it'd be most helpful for all of us.
Mr. President?
Mr. Penn?
I definitely support. I will contribute as well. Our youth need this, and especially with so much going on in our community and our city, we want to make sure we support our young people, so I definitely be supporting as well.
Well, now let me thank each and every one of you for the support of what I used to call Mobile's best kept and most well kept secret. I mean, Mobile Parks and Recreation, or MPRD, we were widely known when it came to track and recreation. So many athletes have came out of our program. It's been a tremendous program. Jay Sean was a tremendous part of this program, along with such historic coaches in the city that we kind of forget about them. Coach Horace Altis, Coach Horton, and Coach Bradley, and then the glorious and formidable Coach Pepper Rice, who taught everybody how to run a 4x1 relay, and just so many memories and so many generations of tremendous athletes that have gone through this program. So thank you. But we've been given a way to make this work in future budgets, and we've asked that there be a 501c3 set for the department to do this, but with historic knowledge of the process and the parents that are involved with this, I would hope that Parks and Recreation, as I have deemed and told the mayor before, being what I consider the #1 department in the city of Mobile right now, could give us a helping hand in getting the 501c3 written so that we can get that established and then create the line item to put money into every year to support these causes. I think that might speed up the process some. The normal process to get a 501c3 can be 6 months to a year and a half. We all know that. So if you guys within administration, and I don't see Shonda yet, but help us do that or help them do that, it would really help us. And then we could create that performance contract that is sustainable year after year after year for them. What was that? I know, but I just said that. I'm saying, yeah, if they could help us do it. Yeah, but I agree, but I don't think I heard the word ask the administration to help do it. I thought we were depending on the parents and their boosters to do it. In the budget. Okay, let's do it.
Madam Clerk.
Mr. President, the next 4 speakers, Sabrina Mass, Jennifer Irby, Ernestine Rogers, and Marvin Liu, speaking regarding gun violence.
Okay, I did ask the clerk to combine the next 4 speakers together by the will of this council, which is all speaking about gun violence, which is a nationwide issue that is going on in our country at this present time. And after the 4 speaker speaks, I did ask our public safety director, which is the one of the experts, to summarize what some of the speakers has spoke about and any questions and concerns that could be addressed at that particular time. Ms. Mass.
Good morning, everyone. Mayor Stimson and the administration, Director Batiste, City Council, President and City Council, and Ms. Lambert and the beautiful staff. My name is Sabrina Mass, 1050 Belvedere Circle West, and we come today to speak, and we are all, come on, Ms. Irby. We are Grandmothers Against Gun Violence. So we are coming, we've said a lot, and I said a lot at the press conference. I'm not going to be too lengthy today. This has been a pressing time for mothers, grandmothers, and parents and citizens. I'm trying not to be so emotional today. My husband is also present here, which is a very rarity. So I do have a husband up there, Terry Mass. So we are coming to say that we are here again to support the mayor and the administration, Director Batiste, and public safety. I also want to say we want to say that we support our city council. I would say, I know you guys put up with a lot. You know, I've been dealing with this council for almost 18 years, administration. I feel like, you know, as a citizen, we are always pointing the finger at our leaders. But it's time that we started pointing fingers back at ourselves as citizens. I try my best to go out here in this community to do the best I can, to heal, to bring peace, to bring unity. It's hard out here. It's painful out here. I'm thanking God that my children and grandchildren have not been victims of gun violence. But that does not suppress the pain of other people's children being shot down in the street. We also have to understand that our police department, think about how they feel when they go out to these crime scenes. They're humans. They have hearts. We have to stop dehumanizing them. They're not the ones doing these crimes. We have to help them. We have to come together and bridge the peace some kind of a way. I don't know what the answer is, but I do know one thing. As a parent, we have to take control of our household. It is our responsibility from the beginning. And then they are second to that. Our leaders are second to that. It is our responsibility. When are we going to take accountability? Like I said at the press conference, people can like me or they cannot like me. I don't care. I speak the truth. I'm going to continue to speak the truth until God takes my last breath. This is my grandson. This is our grandson. I pray over my children and our children, grandchildren, people's children, city leaders, every day. So just know that we support you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Jennifer Hinton Irby. I reside at 2267 Pasnell Court, Mobile 36695. Ms. Mass said a lot of what I feel, and I fully support her. We have come up with an event that we would like to present to the city, Mr. Mayor, City Council. We would like to put together an event that's called Grandmothers Across the County. What I'd like to do, if you remember some years ago, they did Hands Across the United States. We would like to put an event together that's called Grandmothers Across the County of Mobile. We want to get the council, all of your districts, Mobile, the police, the fire. We want to get, excuse me, everyone from all entities such as Pritchard, Saraland, Satsuma, everyone involved in this. We want to get all of the pastors, all of the other organizations. We don't need any more organizations. We need the organizations that are established to come together so that we can have one major event or several major events. But we all have to come together and remove the I, because it's a team effort. We have to come together and plan such events. So Ms. Mass and I would like to offer unto you, we'll get a date in August because it's going to take a lot of planning and preparation. But if we could get, and the grandmothers, I've been speaking with a lot of grandmothers. They are really interested in doing this. We just need to start with the meeting process. I don't care who heads it up. I could care less, but it's something that I feel like we need. We did it in Los Angeles when I was on the LAPD board. We did abatement. We got rid of the drug houses. So it can be done. We just need the commitment from the community to work side by side with the city in a positive manner and not bringing in all the negative, oh, you're not doing this, you're not. We don't want all of that. We want positive feedback. That's what these kids need. And yes, I live out in Westmobile, but I'm down in the city, in the trenches, so to speak, with boots on the ground. I have a lot of kids that I mentor. It started off as just being kids through high school, and now I have 27-year-olds, 32-year-olds, kids that are the age of my grandchildren that are asking for help. So anything you can offer, we're available, but let's try and get a date so we can start, if it's something that you all are interested with, doing Hands Across the County. We've got to start somewhere. Let's start by connecting arms, elbows together and show these parents we're here to support you. Just let us know what you need, and we're here to do our best. Thank you.
Now, all that hugging shouldn't have took up all my time, but we thank God for this opportunity. Lord, my apologies, Council President. I feel a Sunday morning on me. My apologies for that. I'm Marvin Charles Lee Jr., 1252 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue. Good brother, Council President Small. Good brother, Councilman Carroll to the City Council. Mayor Stimson, administration, good brother Petitions, and to the staff. First and foremost, as a sign of as a form of invitation, we ask you to join us at the Stewart Memorial CB Church this Sunday through next Sunday, the 19th. As some of you know, I have offered myself for the office of bishop in the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church. The vote will be on June the 29th in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I'd love for you all to be a part of our send-off to Cincy, speaking manner for the mission. I pray that the service I've given to this city allows you to see that God and this nation needs elevation, and that elevation starts with Marvin Charles Lee Jr. I also make another invitation to you today, and that is simply this. Have you all considered, and if I'm inappropriate in asking it that way, I'll rephrase it by saying this: a public service announcement from the city council, from the mayor's office, and from law enforcement with this one phrase: stop now, live now, we want to live, can do things that press conferences just don't get across. We talk about one Mobile, we talk about us being together, but now more than ever, in the midst of our midnight here in our city, if we stand together as one and do a simulcast PSA that reaches 5, 10, 15, and our CW station, it would do something to the psyche of not only the victims, but the perpetrators of our city. If we stand together and say, stop now, not just the violence, but the finger pointing, the subtle racist comments, as well as the apathy in our community. Live now, live in hope, live in joy, live in peace, live in respect, and live understanding. And we want to live. The 1st District wants to live. The 2nd District wants to live. The 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th districts want to live. Hillcrest wants to live. Down the Bay wants to live. The bottoms and the campgrounds, as well as Midtown and Uptown, want to live. And if our people hear that one voice from one body, perhaps we will have one day of no violence at all. One day full of love and respect. One day full of unity that says Mobile is not perpetrating the phrase one Mobile. Mobile is really one Mobile. Thank you for this time of sharing. Thank
you. Is Ms. Ernestine Rogers here? All right.
I don't know that there's any questions. I think I heard a lot of statements, but what I will say, it's humbling to be here today simply because I think everybody that came to the podium talked about it takes all of us. That has been the slogan for our new youth violence prevention coordinator. It takes all of us. And I think everybody that has spoken has kind of indicated that we all have a role to play in changing gun violence in our community. We are one Mobile, and there are things that we have to work on as being part of one Mobile. We cannot point fingers. We have to encourage one another. And one of the most empowering things for me today is our youth. We've celebrated our youth in many different ways. We celebrated a cancer survivor, a 4-year-old cancer survivor. We celebrated a track and field team that goes off and represents the city of Mobile in a very positive way. Miss Mass shows up here today with her grandson, who as part of Career Day, told his teacher he wanted to be a law enforcement officer. He was not just a prop here today. He was here because he has told his teacher he wants to be a police officer when he grows up. And we need more young people, and we need more parents, and we need more grandparents that when their children say they want to work in law enforcement, to encourage them and not change that, to make their minds change by the time they become adults, in particular in today's time. And so I would like to at least ask Ms. Mass to bring Colin McDade Brooks back up to the podium so that I can present him with a Chiefs coin and encourage him to keep the attitude to want to be someone that protects and serves our community as we move forward.
I want to be a police officer.
Stick with your grandmother. You will be one. Thank you.
Yeah, Council, I just want to close with, I am grateful for this community. I'm grateful for the council and the mayor and the things that happen in our community. And we do have challenges, but we do have a lot of programs, and we can't quantify how many lives we actually save. We can count the ones that we lose, but one homicide is one homicide too many. But we can't quantify the efforts that are being made throughout this community, not just by law enforcement, by every member of this community. And there's more work that we have to do, but if we remember it takes all of us, we'll get there.
Thank you, Public Safety Director Baptiste, for your leadership. Thank you. And also thank you, Chief Barbara and Master. Thank you.
Phil Arsenault.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Phil Arsenault, 2609 Hillcrest Road. Good morning. Thank you for your time, Mr. Mayor, council members. I'm a father of two, business owner here in Mobile for 15 years, taxpayer, baseball coach, but most importantly, an obedient Christian. I stand here today absolutely astonished. I stand here today absolutely sickened by the way this city has turned its back on God by allowing homosexuals to celebrate in our streets, one of the most vile, perverted, self-damaging sins in the Bible. God calls these sins abominations in Leviticus 18:22, shameless acts in Romans 1:27, and in 1 Corinthians 6:9-10, it says, "Or do you not know that the unrighteous will not inherit the kingdom of God? Neither fornicators, nor adulterers, nor idolaters, nor effeminate, nor homosexuals, nor thieves, nor drunkards, or revilers, or swindlers will make it in the kingdom of God." We as a society, as a culture, have gone absolutely mad, and we've turned our backs on God. This is all an antichrist. Satan has a foothold in this nation, and he has in this city a foothold. With the gun violence up, violent crimes, his wrath is on this city. There's one thing we can do. We can teach our children about Jesus Christ. Satan has a foothold on children, including music, movies, even cartoons nowadays. Unless you've had your head in the sand, you know what I'm talking about. Social media, woke corporations, sports stars, and the like. What these people painted on our Civil War monument in Midtown is an absolute disgrace, an absolute mockery of God's covenant with Noah to never flood the earth again, and just another sad attempt to normalize their behavior. And unfortunately, I feel that God's wrath will be upon the city continually if we allow them to celebrate sin in our great city. We today must introduce legislation to put an end to this debauchery. At the very least, protect God's small children from drag queen story hours, pride parades, at least where we can ban children from attending these. I'll end it in one more God's word here. This is from Isaiah 13:11. "I will punish the world for its evil, the wicked for their sins. I will put an end to the arrogance of the haughty and will humble the pride of the ruthless. Choose this day whom you will serve, ladies and gentlemen. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Thank you.
Kevin Halpern.
Mr. Hoffman, present. Clerk?
Well, I was calling him because he was regarding the Gayfers building. So I'll just call those that have signed up for the Gayfers building at this time. And Chris Henkin.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, my first time addressing, a little nervous. About the Gavers building, I'm not really seeing it as
Give me your address.
Oh, sorry. 111 South Dearborn Street, Mobile, Alabama, 36602. Been there since 47, when my grandparents had the house. So we've been downtown a long time. We've seen downtown go through a lot of ebb and flow. My only request is that we do not vote to give money to the Gafers building, as I do not believe the project is right for Mobile. Why do we want to put a laundry room in our downtown, in our living room? I'm not against the project. I do believe in affordable housing. I just don't think that the Gafers building would be the right fit. You can't put 95 apartments with 55 parking spaces. It will not work. I'm sorry, I would just ask that y'all please consider that, as this is our living room to Mobile, and we want to change it from the place where it's our entertainment district to let's change it to affordable housing district. If we could maybe find a different place for that money to go, because I know that y'all are considering adding money to the GCHP, which I've looked at their concerns over in Baton Rouge, which did not work out so well. Yes, if we get that money and build it, will we be able to sustain it? I just don't think so. It's already happened over in Baton Rouge, where the building was built, and if it hadn't been for the Catholic Church and St. Vincent de Paul, the building would have been closed by now. It's just not working. I'm sorry, that's the way we feel about it. And if we could maybe let the city, more people in the city know about it, because when I took it away from the meeting that we had with Mr. Carroll, I talked to a lot of people in the neighborhood that did not know that the Gafers building was even being considered for affordable housing. So if we can maybe get it out to the citizens so that we can understand what's going on, I just don't see 75 one-bedroom apartments as affordable housing to make it work. Thank you for your time. Please consider what we had to say today.
Jared White.
Good morning, Jared White, 1200 Dolphin Street. I'm here today on behalf of Keep My Bill Growing. It's a trade organization comprised of about 100 businesses that operate in the port or support businesses operating in the port. The council today will be taking up what I understand to be the last key part of the UDC to then publish it for adoption. From the beginning, Keep My Bill Growing has supported the UDC. The last hurdle has been discussion about a safety zone in Africatown. I appreciate the council holding it over to allow there to be discussions. I want to thank Councilman Carroll for the tremendous amount of time and effort he has put into letting the various parties meet, discuss things, and come up with a compromise that everyone can live with. It's a typical compromise. It's not as much as some people wanted. It's more than others wanted, but it's something that I think is good for our city. It's good for the Africatown community. It's good for the port, something everybody can support. With this safe zone is adopted, the Africatown community will enjoy more protection under the UDC than any other community in the city. There's the enhanced scrutiny area that applies to setbacks from new above-ground storage tanks. There's the overlay that applies to the entire community. It has a 30-foot buffer that's bigger than the other buffer in the city and other protections. And then the safe zone creates an area that's bigger than the historic district, but it recognizes kind of the core of the community, the residential areas. And it provides tremendous protection against any kind of industrial encroachment in that area. Now, the businesses that operate along the river are dedicated to their footprint. They don't have any desire to encroach, but the safe zone is a way for the community to have some comfort that they're free from encroachment. So I want to thank again Councilman Carroll for, y'all, all of y'all. This is supposed to be a part-time job, and I know how much effort everyone puts into this quote-unquote part-time job, whether it's events at the library that I heard two of the council members were at Monday, whether it's all the other things you do every day. But for the last 2 weeks, I cannot tell you the number of phone calls and emails and meetings Mr. Carroll's had. So we want to thank you very much for the effort you put into that. Thank the entire council, the effort you put into the UDC, and we support the adoption of both the UDC and this amendment. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Mr. Carroll.
First, Jared, thank you for all that. But I got to say this, Jared White and Casey Pipes and Bruce, I saw him earlier, and see, he's still up there, and also Bill Brew, and just so many others had a vital part in this. A lot of you don't even know that we thought we had a resolution at 5:30 Friday 2 weeks ago, and found out 3 o'clock on Sunday before Memorial Day that we still had some things and people and properties we needed to resolve to make this happen. As I've said before, there was a wise Canadian that said that if there was a win-win, we would have already found one. And sometimes a win-lose is the best way to resolve this. And not everybody, as he said, got what they wanted, but mostly everybody came to a mean that was acceptable to protect the community. This initiative started at a meeting in the community where me, Jack, and Chess were having a conversation about another piece of property that Chippewa Lakes was trying to rezone, and we started from there, and that started with Ramsey and his group. So Ramsey, we have to tell you thank you also, because this initiative started with you. So just thank you to every one of you that played a big part in this, and thank you that we've now got a solution and going down the road. And I'm going to start using this phrase at a time. That's one disaster that we've thwarted so far, and now we have to just take one disaster at a time. So I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate every bit of time that y'all put into this. And when it comes before the agenda today, again, thank you guys for everything that y'all did.
Rebecca Lesher.
My name is Rebecca Lasher. I reside at 1413 Aslava Street. I'm a little nervous, so bear with me. I purchased my first home, was fortunate enough to purchase a historic home in Midtown about 2 years ago, and I have loved living there and working in the RSA for the past 9 years for a company there. Downtown Mobile is my second home. I probably actually spend more time downtown enjoying entertainment, district, restaurants, and working than I do anywhere else. What I have here is, this is about 60 plus wet signatures, and then I have an online petition that has over 162 signatures right now of people opposing the Gayfers building turned into affordable housing. We've managed to gather this in just over a week's time. Wednesday, May 25th, we had a meeting that was held to answer questions regarding the project. During that project, I requested we came up with the idea of a straw poll. I said, majority of people here I know personally, and they are against it. Can we please take a straw poll? And we did. About 80% of those attendees, of about 120, 130 people, I think, were against the project. I think there's a lot of things that are being hidden in the details. They're not being well made known to downtown residents, Mobile residents, those that enjoy visiting downtown. It's getting $8 million from the American Rescue Plan Act, or that's what they're asking for. That act was created, though, and specifically intended to be used in communities that have been historically and marginally disadvantaged. That's not downtown Mobile. People who need affordable housing more often than not are families. There will be 2 3-bedroom units in this entire complex. Downtown is also not exactly conducive for large family living. 2, 3, 4 kids. We have a few parks. We don't have much inexpensive eating. It's all higher end restaurants, not expensive, but it's not conducive to having small children. It's just the way that it is. Because it's the entertainment district, and that is the essence of it. Those requiring affordable housing would rather money be spent in their own communities and their own districts than have to move to a new community in a new district. The project owners are attempting to sell residents on the project by insinuating it would primarily be used as housing for downtown employees, restaurant workers, and the like. For a single individual resident to live there, the max income they'd be able to make is $13 an hour. That is not standard downtown pay. I've been in the downtown serving world, bartending world. I've worked in a bunch of those businesses before I got where I am. Still making over $13 an hour even back then. So who will these units actually house, I think, is being hidden. Nobody was really sure who's going to live in these. It's being left up. It's not really been decided because those they're pushing it for will not qualify to live in that. So I ask that if it does ever get voted on, or that you at least give us more time to bring more people to these meetings. I had to take a half day off work just to come to here, but that's how much it means to me. I want to enjoy, and I believe everybody else that comes downtown like I do wants to continue enjoying our downtown district, and this is not something to help revitalize downtown. Thank you very much for your time.
Todd Fowler.
It's Mr.
My name's Todd Fowler. I live at 805 Government Street. My main concern with the Gafers project is the expense. $32 million seems pretty bloated for something of this size. The price per door, mainly. I think a project that was built from the ground up from scratch, you could probably help and benefit 3 times as many people and actually have 3 times as many units. The city has large swaths of land that could be used instead of this, retrofitting an old historic building to an intent that it was never originally intended for. I think we should reconsider it. I'm not sure how much it benefits downtown specifically. I think it could help more people. I'm actually in favor of the spirit of this project. I just don't think that we should force fit it into a building that is going to cost more to renovate than something that could be built fresh. We could probably have 300 units with this amount of money. That's all I have to say today. Thank you.
Elizabeth Stevens.
Hello, everybody. Elizabeth Stevens, 261 Dolphin Street. I'm just here to ask you to indeed give the Gafers project idea another 2 weeks. What I've found is that this kind of is the messaging has gotten kind of wonky on things. And as I was calling, for example, even my board members yesterday, talking to them about the project, that even they had a lot of questions, didn't know a lot about it. This item came on the agenda as a surprise to us 2 weeks ago, and we've been trying to work through that for a while. You have received letters, emails from real property owners in the area in the last day, and they feel passionate about that this is a good and helpful project. But I understand that there's a lot of unknowns, and if we I'm leaving right now for an executive committee meeting. We have a board meeting next week, and we want to talk to the board about it and make sure that everybody knows all of the information, and those are real property owners and real business owners in the downtown. Not all of them, because there are a lot, but they are certainly invested and and have information. One of whom that you received is from Will Yandel, who did the Merchants Plaza building. It's almost 100% leased. He's excited about this project. When I saw him 2 weeks ago, he specifically asked me how it was going. He's written you a letter of support. Their residential in that building is doing so well. They are planning to add some more units in some space that we're going to leave in the tower for office. So he's bullish on Mobile. He's bullish on this concept, and he's right across the street, and is very, very invested in downtown, specifically housing and office. So please just give it a little bit more time. As I had a board member who said one time, nobody ever makes a worse decision because they had more information. So I'm just asking for a little bit more time. I appreciate your indulgence. Thank you.
Reverend Calvin Martin, followed by Darlene Martin. Do we need we can bring a mic up. Okay.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Reverend Calvin Martin, and I live at 2411 Cross Street in the Africatown community. I'm here today to speak about redistricting. As you all have seen, Community Coalition has submitted and revised a map addressing the feedback from you, the members of the City Council. This map is incredibly close to the one put forward by the mayor, with just a handful of small changes to bring the city closer to the meeting and the legal obligation it has under Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act. Now that we have a map which was developed by working together to ensure everyone's concerns are addressed, we hope you will seriously consider and vote to adopt this map. And in a timely manner, there have been complaints along the way that the process and rhetoric has been divisive. This Community Coalition map has been opposed of that. It was created in the spirit of collaboration. It was created by groups across the city coming together to develop a fairer map that would truly move our community and the city forward. We asked for your input from this body, and we made the changes requested to ensure the concerns were addressed. This is how the process should be and how we should develop such maps which will determine the trajectory of our community. And as a result, our city for at least the next decade. If we really want Mobile to grow and thrive, the way is to do it is by taking care of the city we already have. We have so many neighborhoods with failing infrastructure, roads strewn with potholes, sidewalks so torn that they can't be used. We have so many historic and once thriving neighborhoods with empty homes and lots. Most of these are in undeserved and underrepresented parts of our city. By family providing representation, we can better address these issues and help these areas thrive more, which would result in our city growing. These maps just do that. They provide proper representation and give our city the best chance to grow and thrive. We encourage you to adopt them for the sake of our citizens and our city. Thank you for your time.
Good morning. My name is Darlene Martin, and I live at 2411 Cross Street in the Africa Town community. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you all. I am here today to address redistricting and proposed annexation efforts, and especially to address why these two efforts must remain separate. Following the U.S. Census of 2020, the City of Mobile is required to redraw the City Council district maps to ensure the Black community is no longer underrepresented in Mobile city government. The new map must include a fourth district, which provides the Black community the opportunity to elect a candidate of their own choosing. It is of the utmost importance that the map is adopted prior to any annexation attempts. If not, there is absolutely no way to be sure we will meet the legal requirements and moral obligation the city has to ensure adequate representation for the Black community. As you all know, annexation is a complicated process. You all do not get to choose what part of what population comes into the city. You can provide certain parts with certain demographics the opportunity to choose to come into the city, but there is no certainty what the end product will be. For example, you could vote to allow an area with 70% Black and 30% white population, but in the end may end up with only 30% white population coming into the city and 0% of the Black population. While we realize this is exactly why some want to do them at the same time, this is exactly why you must not let that happen. The process has already proven divisive enough. Joining them will only make it worse. Just this week, a mysterious group has been sending push polls on annexation to citizens across the city in an effort to muddy the waters with deeply flawed information. This is not what our city needs. Your top priority should be passing a new city council district map that provides this long underserved community with proper representation and end this divisive back and forth. Mixing the two efforts would only further drive our communities and cities apart. Please do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fred Wheeler.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. President, Mr. Mayor, City Council, my name is Freddie Wheeler. I reside at 8405 Sterling Drive, Mobile, Alabama, 36695. I am the secretary and co-chair of the Westmobile Annexation Committee, and we were formed over 3 years ago in a grassroots effort to join the city of Mobile through annexation. The effort due in part to the city of Mobile pulling EMS coverage outside the corporate limits and threatening to remove fire and police protection from our area. Through our efforts, the city of Mobile discovered that if it were to grow above 200,000 residents, it would be eligible to apply for more federal funding and public safety grants. Our committee followed the annexation by referendum process set forth by Alabama law as we sought a sponsor, worked with the city, and spoke with any officials who would speak to us. The mayor delivered the maps of the proposed area, and on November 19, 2019, the city council was asked to vote to allow the areas to decide by allowing a referendum vote. The 2019 council voted to deny us the opportunity to make that choice. We were dismayed, but we were not defeated. We continued to pursue annexation by referendum, but find it curious that some of the same people who spoke in opposition to allowing the referendum in 2019 are now saying that redistricting and annexation are not tied together and ask the city council to do the right thing. Meanwhile, the city continues to lose population year after year. We believe they are tied together. Both redistricting and annexation are attempts to change boundaries. Both are attempts to give people who believe they are voiceless a voice.
Both hope to make the city a better place for all. One is by federal mandate, and the other is allowed by state and local referendum. If those in the city council in 2019 had allowed and had annexation been approved, we know several things would have occurred. The city would have been above $200,000 and eligible to apply for larger public safety grants. We know the city would have gained the other half of sales tax and business licenses, roughly $40 million for 3 years currently collected from those areas, and would only be 2 years away from additional property taxes. We know that they would have been eligible to receive more funding through ARPA, and we know that Mobile would be the second largest city in Alabama again. We know that the city's black majority is concerned with dilution of their vote, their voice. But if the past mayoral election proved anything, their concern should be the same as all Americans: apathy. My solution to this is to agree to allowing the referendum to go forward while agreeing to the 53% sought by some in District 7. Additional to this, think of the violence and think of those additional funds in public safety would have meant possibly the saving lives, especially the youth.
Mr. President,
Mr. Carroll.
did I hear Mr. Wheeler right? He says that we should agree to the 53% in District 7?
That's what I said.
Question to the council of the city. What happens if we try annexation before redistricting? I'd like to hear Ricardo answer.
So, well, first of all, I got to tell you, I don't represent the council, so that's a legal question. You probably should ask Mr. Arledge that question.
Do you know the answer?
Well, you got to have enough time. There's got to be a resolution put on the agenda to call for a vote. There's about a 2 or 3 week wait. It depends on. There's 2 different laws they can go under, and I think it's about a 40 to 50 day process at a minimum. And I don't know if that would happen for August 12th, but in any event, whatever time annexation does happen, it's going to probably have to require a map alteration.
I think the avoidance of the question says a lot as to what would happen if the attempt was tried before redistricting. And I don't want to speak for the city's attorney right now, but he and I both know what would happen or could happen if the attempt was tried in the order that we're trying to do it. I think the most important thing to do here, or I know the most important thing to do here, is to get to the end of the road in redistricting before we can consider an annexation attempt. I don't think anybody has said, or I don't even think you've heard everybody coming in here marching week after week after week after week after week after week has said they're 100% opposed to an annexation attempt. What you've heard them say is that they like to see redistricting complete, and complete in a manner that it represents the current population of the city. I think that's what we're hearing over and over and over again. You know, at some point, the city is going to have to grow. You've heard me say that for months. But do we grow before we complete this redistricting opportunity is a question. And I think in fairness to the population here and to the majority of the population here, that we should finish this task before we start another.
Mr. President, so I was in jest going to Mr. Arledge, dealing with the time frame. I think what Mr. Carroll is referencing, while I do not represent him as a council member, I do represent the city. And I do have to let everybody know that what Mr. Carroll is saying is a large part accurate, and here's why. There's nothing wrong with having the conversation about redistricting and annexation. That is not a bad idea. We probably should have the conversation. But the action itself, putting annexation and redistricting simultaneously on the same voting track, is problematic for 2 reasons. number one, I don't know if you can actually do it time frame wise and factually, because the places that you're talking about coming into the city, by very nature of annexation, are not part of the city yet, and it therefore doesn't fall within the census tracts for the city. So you're looking to bring someone into the conversation through annexation that is not by Zogby falling into the census tracts that you're required to look at. That's state law. The secondary issue, and I think more important, is when you look at the Voting Rights Act, you would be looking to automatically dilute by moving whichever direction certain parts of the city. And that's a Section 2 and a Section 5 issue. But I think the more salient issue is what Mr. Arledge said is, I don't even know if there's time, and it's probably not physically possible. You can have the conversation, but the action is fraught with disaster.
Mr. President.
Mr. Jones.
Yeah, look, we're talking apples and oranges. There's two actions with the annexation discussion. Number one, this city council allows the vote to allow them to come in at a future point. That is all this is. Our motion is to allow the folks in the county to vote at a future point in time. It doesn't mean when we vote on annexation that it happens. The second thing is we're talking an action, unlike redistricting, that brings revenue into the city. It's not about dilution of demographics in the city. It's about the evolution of this city to be able to accomplish those things that we wish to do in every one of these districts. And that's provide resources and services to those that need it. And that's exactly what annexation does. And we've heard time and time and time again about what that means and what we've lost just in the couple of years, regardless of if we vote and what does that mean 20 to 30 years down the road. The other piece of this is we talk about hope. What about the gentleman like Freddie Wheeler that's in the county that wants to have a voice in voting for the mayor of the city, that wants to have a voice for voting in districts, and he suffers under the taxation of this city, but has no voice over that. He pays city taxes, and he has no voice with regards to that. That's what they want. They've not asked for anything except to have a voice where it matters with the growth and the development of this city. It blows my mind that we get wrapped around the axle so many times over things that are not so important. We talk about the growth of the city. We talk about Westmobile. That takes money. That takes resources. That takes revenue. And we've said no and no. We talk about if you just allow us to do redistricting, then we'll move forward with annexation later. Well, we've moved forward with annexation twice before, and it's been voted down. So there's no reason that we cannot take these actions simultaneously. It's doing the same thing. It's drawing lines. The annexation would draw the lines where we would move and grow. And everybody says, well, you're going to do things that are illegal when you dilute the demographics of the districts. You can't do that. It's illegal. By law, you cannot change the majority of a district, of a city, by annexation. So no, that's not true. So let's deal with facts and let's deal with law the way that it's drawn out and written up, and stop dealing with all of the hyperboles and all of the theories that are out there. And until we get the map on the table by the administration, we don't know what those facts are. And that's why I've asked them a long time ago to get the map on the table so we know what those facts are, and we can start dealing with knowns versus unknowns. And we can start having real conversation about real change in the city.
All right,
Mr.
Council.
President.
Mr. Carroll.
First of all, when I go to Pritchard and buy something, I pay taxes in Pritchard. When I go to Daphne, Pensacola, Saraland, I pay taxes in those cities. And I'm not asking to be annexed into those cities because when I go there and buy something and I pay taxes, I'm not asking simply because I want and I live in Mobile. And nobody has that choice. When that group or those groups or individuals that live in those neighborhoods go to any city, they pay taxes. They're burdened by the taxes of any city that they go to pay taxes in that city when they buy something. Most cities are cities that are driven by sales tax revenue. So we all pay taxes in other cities that we go to. Legally, by law, the only issue that the city of Mobile right now has to take up is redistricting. It's redistricting. We do not have to take up an annexation opportunity right now. Granted that in the future, or granted when this passed, we should take a extremely seriously look at what annexation looks like and what it may bring to the city. But to also say that we're going to get additional grants and additional monies, that's all speculation. Grants are competitive, and they're normally a one-time contribution or one-time additive to the city. They're not continuous, and they are not sustainable. You cannot budget a city on grants. You can't do it. So to say that there's additional opportunity out there, that's correct. But for the additional money that we're talking about getting in grants, that's speculation because you can't budget on it. Just can't do it. Even if today we had an annexation attempt, to get to the point to be the second largest city in the state of Alabama, I want you to think about this. The annexation attempt would have to be at least 25,000 people or stronger to get there. And then not every census tract or community may vote to come into the city. That's not guaranteed. Then I don't even think, if I remember the rights, somebody has to petition to come into the city, and I don't even know how many groups have petitioned to come into the city. I'm not against an annexation attempt. I've said that. But what I do know we need to do is we need to get to the end of the road on redistricting. That's the most important thing in the city. It's to find a way to get to where we're all comfortable, where we have a fourth possible district that has the opportunity that if it wants to elect someone of their choosing if things change. Thank you.
All right, Council. Madam Clerk.
Mr. President, I do want to clarify two things. Number one, once again, there's no problem with having the conversation about annexation while you're doing this. It's the action that's the problem. Number two, more importantly, when we talk about the grants as we move forward, same as we did last time, not all of those grants are competitive. And most of them, the ones that we're talking about, are ones that we have actually gone through and won. And I mean, we have now, and had we been operating at 200,000 plus, we would have not only secured them, but secured more. Hats off to our grants department, which is one of the best in the state. So we can show you that, but I want to make sure that's clear to not only the council, but to the general public that that's what we're looking at, and it's not something that is speculative for us.
Madam Clerk.
Reggie Hill.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk, and for Mr. Willie, your enthusiasm. So my presentation won't be as alarming, since I'm talking about the misuse of taxpayer resources and how it impacts quality of life and public safety. To the citizens and stakeholders of Mobile, good afternoon. Reggie Hill, 1007 Center Street. I would like to start with 12 Ps, but because of the time restraint, only having 180 seconds up here, I'll condense that down to 9. Poor preparation promotes poor performance. Poor performance promotes pain. And for week after week after week, we painstakingly have to come down here and endure the decisions that are made. We just had Ms. Dowdy come down here and speak about the needs of our young people. And we wasted 20 minutes of time talking about 501c3s, and we have departments. Why isn't the money going to the department? Y'all check everything else. Why don't you check the parents? Then we can put the money that's necessary in there if our kids are going to represent us so we can be the city that we're claiming we all supposed to be here. While this is a nationwide issue that we're facing with public safety, our concern is not the nation. We need to be talking about Mobile, Alabama. What's going on in our streets, right here, in our city. Hate to say it, but that youth violence prevention coordinator stuff, that's a joke. It's a waste of money. We have organizations with year-long plans, data-proven plans, that requested half of the money that we spend on that. For us to get out here, what you talking about, hyperboles, hypothesis, analysis, us guessing if something's going to work and then potentially put it in the budget for the next year? We are guessing while people getting shot in the street. That's interesting, all this rhetoric and tone and stuff we got coming out here. When we had those incidents where 17 of them came about, we pointed fingers at the courts. We pointed fingers at the parents. We pointed fingers at these people sitting up here. We pointed fingers at folks sitting out here. And then one group, Success for the Future, came out and said, well, we'll take the blame. And then it came out of the blue, it takes all of us. Expressing the importance of teaching juvenile delinquency before it's dismissed for the summer. We talk about that we don't control the young people, but when the summer hits, that's our issue. We can rent to charge kids to go up in the facilities and stuff. We don't have an issue with money. We got $8 million down here for a downtown development, $243,000 for a building that loses $500,000 a year, nearly $4 million in transportation for the agenda today. $766,000 for consulting services for design on the riverfront, and no one cares about that riverfront more than me. And you know it from last season. And it wouldn't take no $1 million to fix it. $30,000 for drying machines. I don't have enough time to keep going on this, but I will say this. I appreciate NBC 15 for allowing some people to speak yesterday. But the thing we didn't mention was poverty. We haven't talked about poverty yet and wondering why the city's in the state that it's in.
All right, thank you, Mr.
Thank you
Hill.
for yielding the floor.
Ordinance is held over. 64017, ordinance to adopt the City of Mobile Unified Development Code.
So moved.
No. Mr. President, motion to amend the UDC and to add special language for the Africatown Safe Zone.
Second.
All right, properly moving to second in the discussion.
And we're talking about the language we're adding is the language you previously submitted to
Yes, sir. The clerk has it.
the,
All of you
and
should
the map that we got on Friday.
Yes. Right. Okay. That's good enough, Mr. Hart. That's good. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Now we hold this over.
Yeah, go back.
July 12th.
Move to hold over until July 12th.
Okay.
Second.
Properly moved and second in the discussion. All in favor to hold over to July 12th?
Aye.
All opposed? Items laid over.
Ordinance 06030, ordinance to amend Chapter 6 of the Mobile City Code, ambulances and other medical transportation.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passed.
57032, ordinance to amend Section 57-17 of the Mobile City Code, procedures for vacation of streets, alleys, and public ways by petition.
So moved.
Properly moved and second in the discussion.
Yes, sir, Mr. President.
Yes, Ms. Gregory?
We spoke about this in our pre-conference meeting, but just to make sure that we also speak about it in our public meeting now to make sure that people understand exactly what this is. It is to provide for a vacation of a portion of a street, basically an entrance and exit to a neighborhood. And this is the process that neighbors would have to go through in order to bring it to the council for approval. This in no way vacates entire streets. It is simply to provide residents who are interested in traffic flow issues in their neighborhood to try to come to the council to ask for an entrance exit to be blocked. And it is just the procedure. It is not making it happen. That would have to still come to the council for approval.
Mr. President?
Mr. Jones?
Yeah. Move to amend this ordinance with the verbiage that was previously submitted to the council.
And properly moving the second on the amendment and the discussion. All in favor on the amendment?
Aye.
All opposed? Amendment passed. Going back to original. Any other discussion? And all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passed.
01033, ordinance to provide for the reapportionment of the 7 city council districts for the city of Mobile.
So moved.
Are we not laying this over?
Yeah, but you want to lay it over to the same date, correct?
Yeah.
21st? Yeah, I thought that's what we're doing.
Okay.
Yeah, but you,
I said it without saying the date. I'm sorry. Motion to lay over until June 21st. Is that not correct?
Yes.
second.
I've got
Properly
it
moved
written
and
down.
second to lay over to June 21st. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Abstain?
All right, laid over to June 21st. Yes.
Just a point of clarity on the way a couple of those things happen. You can move to approve, second, move to amend, vote on that and hold it over, or you can go straight to the move to amend. We did it 2 different ways on those last 3.
Right.
Okay. And either way is fine. I just seem to be a little confused.
Yes.
Well, we good.
Resolutions held over. 31451. Update the American Rescue Plan, action plan to include redevelopment for affordable housing.
Motion to lay over 2 weeks.
Second.
Properly moved and second to lay over for 2 weeks. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, any discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. President.
Mr. Reynolds?
By my count, it doesn't appear we've got support for this today, and there's no sense in delaying this thing further for another 2 weeks. And I think it's being a little bit dishonest to the developer who has spent tons of money and time and effort to try to get this project off the ground. And there's no sense in us holding them on the hook for another 2 weeks thinking that we're going to get the vote. And I say today we take this thing up and vote it.
Any other discussion? Basically, I will be joining Mr. Reynolds. I will be not supporting to lay this over either. Time after time we had citizens to come down and really advocating to not to spend $8 million, at the Gapers building. And I never really had too many citizens or heard too many citizens come down here advocating to spend it. Yesterday, there was a article that was published, AL.com, and it says that the Smithsonian Magazine ranks Africa Town among places to visit in 2022. And, the Smithsonian released an article on last week stating that Africa Town, less than 25,000, people, is a place to visit. You go out to Africa Town right now, what you gonna see? What can Gapers give us? We have a whole treasure in Africa Town that we can make money off of. Unfortunately, it was a bad situation, but we had a real thing that's out there that Montgomery is making money off of tourism every day. But yet we're looking to spend $8 million on a Gayfors project. As one citizen came down here earlier, that, money that, was really designed to go into more affordable areas, and we're trying to put money more downtown where it's vibing. But we have an area that's being featured nationwide, and we're not really putting emphasis on it. Now, I know I might get criticized by, District 3, Oakdale, Maysville, DIP, because I'm taking up for District 2, Africa Town. But, and again, we need to put emphasis on Maysville. But right now, Africa Town is in the spotlight. What emphasis is the city of Mobile putting on Africa Town? What's more important, Gayfors or Africa Town? The article that ran on in AL.com yesterday was saying that the Smithsonian has named Africa Town as one of the 15 best small towns to visit after the United States allowed the importation of enslaved labor in 1807. Smuggling continued to bring captured West Africans across the Atlantic and into Deep South. When the Civil War ended, the newly freed survivors of the last of these slave ships, the Cotillo, founded Africa Town, a stand-alone community located about 3 miles north from downtown Mobile. This self-sufficient town used many elements of West Africa laws, including having tribal leaders retain their own regional language and customs, and started their own schoolhouses. With the opening of Africa Town Heritage House later this summer, the official date remained unannounced. Sad. And we talk about putting money, $8 million in Gayfors, but this is nationwide. The town founders and descendants will finally have a dedicated place for their natives to be told. 5,000-foot museum will feature both documents and artifacts, sharing, artifacts in their stories. Gayfors is, they say we might make some of our money back. That's a gamble. But how much money will Africa Town bring back when we bring in tourism? This is a worldwide venture for us. We need to put more emphasis on what we have in Africa Town. That's a community that needs to be built up. We had 2 citizens came from Africa Town, and the Reverend Martin, he was talking about the holes in the streets that he lives on. But yet we up here talking about $8 million for Gayfors building. We need to build up there. I mean, about RV, what you ready for me to do? You ready for me to put both for not yet, $8 million in Gayfors or $8 million to help to revitalize RV? Which one? Thomas James, I'm sorry. You ready for me to revitalize Thomas James, correct? I can't do it. We need to take care of what we have. We need to take care of our citizens. The money that this, the money that this was for, we need to put forward. I mean, we got Mays, we got DIP, we got Morningside in District 4, we got Mobile Terrace in District 7, we got the Loop, we got Trinity Gardens in District 1, we need to just sit back and listen to the citizens and hear exactly what they want and everything. So I would join Councilman Reynolds, and I would not hold this for 2 weeks either. I'm ready to vote for this today because, to me, the citizens have spoken. Any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. President.
Mr. Carroll.
This morning in pre-council, I think everybody heard me say that I wish there was a way that we could find to do both. And also you heard me say that there was a plan B. So it's always been my place that if something is going to die, you better have somewhere else for it to go, and it needs to have somewhere else for it to go very quickly. So we have the bottom. We have the campground. We have Josephina's at Allen's missing abated property that with nothing on it. We have so many opportunities for infill housing. We need rental assistance housing that has a $5.4 million portion of it. There's $29 million of ARPA funding dedicated to housing. Let me say this again, not 8, but $29 million. $29 million. Now, I have said over and over and over again that I think that this project might be in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's a good project, but I think it might not be the right time for it, and that we could spend that money better in other places. But in looking at all the things that have happened in the city, I've had to look at a lot. When people write notes saying they don't want poor people to live downtown, then I got a problem. When they say they don't want people, you never said it. When they say that they don't want a different demographic, affordable housing downtown. When they say that they don't want low income downtown, then I equate that to the same problems that minorities faced in the 1950s, and that was called redlining. So we're saying as a community right now that don't put these people in the middle of downtown because they're poor. Don't put this building in the middle of downtown because it's affordable. Don't put this poor spot down here. So we're just saying we're putting a poor spot in the middle of a bunch of rich people. That is redlining at its best. And this city and we and me and everybody else is looking at it that way. It may not be the best thing for us to do right now. I agree. We might need to redirect those funds somewhere else. I agree. But if we're going to redirect those funds somewhere else, then we need to find a way to where healthy communities, and I say healthy communities because the old communities, everybody lived together. The rich, the poor, the affordable. There was no neighborhood where they were all $400,000 houses and 3,500 square feet with a neighborhood covenant, and all the houses have to be this way. There wasn't another neighborhood where everything was affordable and they all had to be this way. So I'm simply asking for 2 weeks so that we can look at this in a different direction and see if there's a possible win. It doesn't hurt to let us look at this for 2 weeks. That's all I'm asking. If the council will allow that, I would be very appreciative.
Mr. Day and Ms. Gregory.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have not made up my mind on this project. This is a very, a lot of times, most of the time, an issue comes before us, and by the time it comes to vote, I've made up my mind. I've got a pretty good idea of what I want to do. This one is a very difficult issue. Very difficult issue. There are strong arguments both for and against this project. And just because you're against the project doesn't mean that you don't like the people that are going to be inside the project. There are reasons to be against this project that have nothing to do with the kind of people that are going to be inside it if it gets built. But, as I said, I have not made up my mind on it. I will support the request to lay it over. Perhaps we can get more clarity on whether it's a good idea or not in the next 2 weeks. But just because I'm voting to support the layover doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to vote in favor of the project when it comes back up 2 weeks from now. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. Thank you, Mr. President.
Ms. Gregory.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Mr. Dave said, there are a lot of pros and cons really about this project. One of them, of course, is the fact that this building has sat where it is in a blighted situation for a very long time, and it is a problem for downtown that we are trying to redevelop and make inviting for people to not only move downtown, but to develop other properties, bring in more businesses, retail, that sort of thing. Of course, the cost is pretty phenomenal, and they are asking for the city to provide that $8 million in ARPA funds. Looking to, of course, redevelop the building using all kinds of different grants and tax credits and things like that in order to provide housing. Some of it affordable, some of it workforce. I think you've heard from the Downtown Alliance that they need workforce housing in downtown Mobile. I think there are, of course, people have said different things that maybe that's not quite the case, but that has been part of the argument that workforce housing is needed downtown for many, many people who can't afford what is market price rents throughout the city. However, we also hear that perhaps the $8 million that the city has to spend on what we look at as affordable housing could be better spent on single-family homes in neighborhoods. That maybe that is a better way to spend it. In fact, this council, when it came up before, decided to go that direction rather than putting money into the Gapers project. And I know we have a plan B that is in motion because the administration knew that the Gapers project was in peril, and they started working on a plan B. And I've seen the draft of plan B, and it would provide housing, development of housing throughout the city. I have needs in my district, as most every council member does, for housing. I like that approach. I would like to be able to provide housing for people in need in my district. So we have all of those things to consider which way, this money should be spent. I had told Mr. Carroll and others during the pre-conference meeting I was willing to lay it over for a couple of weeks. I don't know that the vote will change on this council. So if there are 5 votes, if my colleagues want to lay this over for a couple of weeks, if that's the will of this council, I'm willing to do it. But again, I don't know that the vote will change. And in that respect, we may as well go ahead and vote today and let the developers go on another direction and have the administration follow through on plan B so that we can all see what they're looking at.
Mr. President.
Mr. Penn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Early in the pre-council meeting, I agreed that I was willing to hold it over based on getting more information. But at that time, I definitely had my concerns. With the new Plan B, I believe that it works for all the districts with new development with homes. We need that in the Toneville community, the Crying community, Trenton Garden community. We use that $8 million wisely. We need it in other areas. We need it throughout all our districts. I'm sure we all have different areas that we need that those single family homes. So I'll support, because I stated that early in pre-council meeting, but if that fails, I will not be supporting the Gapers building today. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor to hold it over for 2 weeks?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Opposed.
So
5 to 2.
5 to 2. All right. The item held over for 2 weeks.
21478, authorized change order with Gorham Air Conditioning for mechanical upgrades at the Convention Center. 25479, accept permanent sidewalk easement and construction of sidewalks 1812 O'Shell Road. 37480, consider approval of a certificate of public convenience and necessity to Slab Life Express to operate a shuttle service. 47481 and 482 are assenting to the vacation of a portion of Magnolia Street and considering a fee for the vacation of a portion of Magnolia Street.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Been properly moved and second in discussion.
Yes, sir.
That's Mr. Day.
on 47,482, we're waiving that fee. Is that right? Or
Yes, sir.
do
We
need
had to put a resolution on the agenda saying something. So this resolution says the fees waived, and it also says it in the main vacation.
Thank you.
But you can do it that way too. Yeah, you can table 482 if you want to.
We don't have to. I mean, let's go ahead and deal with it.
Either way, it works.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passed.
Ordinance is being introduced, 64034 through 64035.
Per council rules, these ordinances will be laid over for 1 week.
Consent resolutions being introduced, 31486 through 6508.
Move to suspend the rules for immediate consideration of these resolutions with the exception of 46488 and lay it over for 1 week.
Second.
And properly moved second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Rules waived.
31486, authorize grant application to ADECA for the Project Safe Neighborhoods Grant. No local match. 40487, declare the structure at 1354 O'Shell Road a public nuisance and order it demolished. 58489, declare weeds noxious, group 1628. 6490, approve award of special bonus to the Public Services Employee of the Month. 6491, 492 are determining an appropriation to Society Mobile La Habana, serves the public purpose and also opportunity for entertainers, performing arts, serves the public purpose. 37507, recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a restaurant retail license to Big Bad Breakfast on O'Shell Road. And 6508, determining an appropriation to Sky Ranch Garden Club, serves the public purpose and approving payment. Please withdraw 40487, declaring the structure a public nuisance from that group. I'll take that one separate.
So moved.
Second. Properly moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes.
448, this one needs to be tabled. 4487, declare the structure at 1354 O'Shell Road a public nuisance and order it demolished.
Motion to table.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item tabled.
Resolutions being introduced, 01493 through 37506.
Per council rules, these resolutions will be laid over for 1 week with the exception of 01-493 that we move to take up today.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion?
Vote.
Yeah.
We have to make a motion to waive the rules for the one item. Okay.
She did.
Call for the question.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
01493, authorize agreement with University of South Alabama for sidewalk enhancement on O'Shell Road.
So moved.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes.
Call for public hearings. 41509, call for public hearing to consider adoption of the Unified Development Code to replace the current zoning ordinance, Chapter 64, the Mobile City Code 1991, scheduled July 12th.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and second. In discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Public hearing is called.
Announcements.
All right. District 6, Councilman Jones.
No announcements.
District 2, Councilman Carroll.
Yes, real quick. Can I get an update on the Melton Fire Station on Lafayette Street? Getting a lot of calls about it's being closed. I know why it's closed, but can you guys tell us a couple things? What, if possible, why it's closed, how long it's going to be closed, and when will it be back up?
I can't tell you how long it's going to be closed. There are some issues that have to be resolved. I spoke with you
last week about the closing of it, but the response time has already been addressed. You shouldn't have any delays in response time. They're just working out of a different station at this time.
Okay. That's all I got. That's all I have today.
All right, District 5, Councilman Daves. District 4, Councilman Reynolds.
There will be a Rules Committee meeting at 1 o'clock in the council conference room to discuss the final language for the request for proposal when hiring someone to do the racial polarization study related to redistricting. Sure, let's make that 1:15. Everybody good with 1:15?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Please, yeah.
District 1, Councilman Finn.
Thank you, Mr. President. On this past weekend, I had the opportunity to attend the Mobile Youth ESPY Awards. It was a great event with a lot of young people throughout the city of Mobile who played park ball. They were awarded. They was dressed nice. It was just an awesome opportunity to be there to support them in that moment. And so I was just excited to be there. That was a great event. Today, we will have our community meeting at Center Point Church at 6 p.m. It's on 1375 West I-65 Service Road. Starts at 6 p.m. We're inviting all residents of District 1, especially if you live out there in the Botier community, to come out. You can receive answers to many of the questions that you might have sent in regarding your concerns in our letter. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. President.
District 7, Vice President Gregory.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President. If you live along Ziegler Boulevard, or if that is one of your normal routes east and west, you probably know by now that a portion of the road is closed and detours are set up. This is to allow for some very extensive drainage work and utility relocation for this widening project. I said detours are set up, and they are. Local traffic still has the service roads that run parallel to Ziegler, so if you live out there, you know you can still get out. Nobody is keeping you from getting in or out of your neighborhood, but we definitely would like for folks who don't live in the area and who just take Ziegler east and west to look for another route, and those detours are set up. This will take upwards of 5 months to complete, weather permitting. So just keep that on your radar that it is happening. I know there was some confusion. I saw on Next Door Neighbor, people, and on Facebook, people said, hey, I just heard that there was a news conference where the mayor and the council person and commissioner were out there opening up Ziegler. Well, yes, we did. It was a portion of Ziegler. It was phase 1 that has been completed from Schillinger Road to Cody Road. The phase that I'm talking about now that is closed is the second phase. Much more extensive work has to happen on this phase. I think one of the silver linings right now is that school's not in session. So people are able to get used to these detours while school is not in session. We will provide as many updates as possible as this project moves forward, but again, it should take about 5 months to complete. This coming Saturday, I will be at Hillsdale Recreation Center for the 2nd annual Jason Caffey birthday celebration basketball camp. It's a wonderful camp for all of these kids to come through, learn basketball skills, as well as living skills. The police department always sends out a team to work with the kids, and last year was a great success, and I look forward to being there. I am the primary sponsor, and I'm happy to do so. And for those who live along Moffett Road and Howells Ferry, and Director, this is you. Guess what? The Piggly Wiggly is getting ready to open. Tomorrow, yes, tomorrow is a soft opening, and then a week from tomorrow, they will have the official grand opening with the chamber. We'll be sending out information on that, and I will be there both days. So congratulations for folks who've been looking for a grocery store. I know it's been difficult since the other one was shut down.
Thank you, Vice President Gregory, and looking forward on Thursday to join the police department from 3 to 6 o'clock p.m. at Baumhauer, also known as Duval Park, for their community days. Anything else from this council?
Motion to adjourn.
Hold up. Anything from the administration? Now, Mr. Reynolds.
Motion's on the floor.
All right. All in favor?